Lynn?
Here.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Here.
Commissioner Stefanski? Commissioner Tuorty?
Here.
Commissioner Stefanski called and was not able to be here tonight. Commissioner Lynn.
Your Honor, so move that we excuse Commissioner Stefanski.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We'd ask those with cell phones if they would please put them on vibrate or turn them off. We would appreciate it. Also mention at this point and then again near the end of the meeting, we have the Puller Renovation Burger Bash is going to be occurring on October the 2nd, which is a Thursday night at the Elks Club from 4 o'clock till 7 o'clock. And tickets are available from members. The commissioners will have them. City managers are going to have some. I'm sure they may be able to put some in stores. But again, that's October the 2nd, Elks Club, and from 4 o'clock to 7 p.m. And there's a 50-50 draw. And we certainly encourage folks that are able to join us. I think the tickets are $7 a piece. And you can buy them ahead of time, or you can buy them at the door. It just helps if we sell them ahead of time. We kind of have some idea of how many to expect. Thank you. Item number 1, public comment on scheduled agenda items. Any person may reserve time to speak on an agenda item not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to item number 2, the consent agenda. City Clerk Troyer, please.
Under the consent agenda, A, minute approval. 1, approval of the minutes of the regular City Commission meeting of September 2nd. Recommended action, approve the minutes of the regular City Commission meeting of September 2nd, 2014. Item B, special orders of business. 1, scheduling of a public hearing on a resolution to vacate all streets and alleys within the plat of Phoenix Park Addition line west of the Interstate 75 right-of-way and the associated access easement recorded at Library 50, page 494. Recommended action, schedule a public hearing on a resolution to vacate all streets and alleys within the plat of Phoenix Park Addition.
Okay, thank you. That is the consent agenda. Are there any questions? Commissioner Tuorty.
So move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Again, are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosbus?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 3, special orders of business. A, first reading of an ordinance to amend sections 10-1.04400 and 10-1.045, parentheses 451 of the city's zoning ordinance to remove farms from the list of uses permitted within the R1, RS1, and RS2, and R-1A zoning districts.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As commissioners are aware, discussion regarding the maintenance of backyard chickens has recently been concluded, and during the course of that discussion, it was discovered that the zoning ordinance does not define the term farm and also permits farms to be permitted use by right within all residential zoning districts. In accordance with Commission direction expressed at the August 4th, 2014 regular meeting, staff took a recommendation to the Planning Commission, which it considered at its August 28th, 2014 regular meeting, that the use of farms be removed from the R1, RS1, RS2, and R1A zoning districts, and that they be retained within the RSV, the residential reserve zoning districts. This was approved unanimously by the Planning Commission for recommendation to the Commission for adoption through the amendatory ordinance process. This will not create any non-conforming uses, and accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission hold a first reading of the proposed ordinance modifications that would remove farms as a permitted use from all residential zoning districts with the exception of the residential reserve district.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Shimmons.
I would so move.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? I just noticed in the, in reading the staff recommendations that all present farms are located in the RSV zoning district, so that when you said non-conforming, then that's what you meant by that, that we wouldn't displace any present farms that are out there, that they all are within the zoning ordinance that we're looking at, correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? We have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty,
Yes.
Mayor Boswis.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B under special orders of business is for first reading of an ordinance to adopt floodplain management regulations in accordance with the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As outlined in the memorandum, the Federal Emergency Management Agency recently conducted a flood insurance study to identify existing flood hazards in the city and issued a new flood insurance rate map. The newly published map will become effective on October 16th, and before that time, the city must adopt floodplain management regulations that meet the standards of the National Flood Insurance Program. The included resolution and ordinance contain the language necessary to adopt these changes, which are also included in the Michigan Building Code and the Michigan Residential Code, but must be adopted at this time due to the change in the flood insurance rate map. Accordingly, I am recommending that the City Commission hold a first reading on the included and proposed ordinance that would adopt the required regulations, as well as schedule a public hearing for the October 6, 2014 regular meeting regarding this ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gary.
I would so move that we have a first reading of the included and proposed ordinance that would adopt the required regulations outlined herein, and also schedule a public hearing for October 6, 2014 regarding the adoption of this ordinance and this subject matter.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty,
Yes.
Mayor Boswis.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item C under special orders of business is first reading of an ordinance to amend sections 10-1.17 parentheses 1704 to add parking requirements for video game arcades, laser tag arenas, and go-kart tracks.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The city was recently approached by a group of entrepreneurs looking to establish a fun center that would consist of a video game arcade, a laser tag arena, and an indoor go-kart track. However, the city zoning ordinance does not provide a schedule of parking requirements for these types of commercial uses. Accordingly, the Planning Commission at its August 28, 2014 regular meeting was presented with language that would provide for such parking ratios, and specifically it considered changes that would provide for video game arcades, the requirement that one spot be present for each 150 square feet of usable floor area, that for laser tag arenas, that one spot be provided for every 500 square feet of usable floor space, and for the indoor go-kart track portions of a business that 1.5 spaces be provided per go-kart with the exception of spare go-karts. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the adoption of these parking ratios to the City Commission, and accordingly, it's my recommendation that the Commission hold a first reading on these proposed ordinance modifications that would establish parking ratios for these three uses.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bauer.
So moved that the commission hold a first reading of proposed ordinance modifications that would establish parking ratios for the three uses outlined here, one for go-kart tracks, one for laser tag arenas, and the other for video game arcades.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Questions? Some exciting news, I think. And I kind of know the location, and I think we know the location if it's on the information down on West Portage near the lock area, giving families maybe a little longer stay in the community, and we certainly hope that the entrepreneurs that are putting this together will be successful. It's the laser tag I've only heard about. I know what a go-kart looks like, and the indoor track would be exciting, and video arcades, but laser tag seems interesting. So that, I know Commissioner Bauer being a little more technical than myself, as far as computers go, that I think it's a pretty good game that they play. So we certainly wish them well. Anyone else? Okay. We have motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Boswith?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 4 is the city manager's report.
Item A under the city manager's report would provide for the awarding of a bid for the purchase of 3 sludge transport containers. At this time, the wastewater treatment plant uses 3 custom-built sludge transport containers to remove biosolids to the Dafter landfill. Due to the poor condition of the existing transport tanks, DPW Director Moreau put into the budget a request for the purchase of 3 new tanks. Bids were solicited through the established purchasing policy of the city, and on September 8th, 2 bids were received and opened, with the apparent low bidding company being Sioux Machine Works, which bid $11,646 for the creation of these 3 transport containers. As noted in the memorandum, the budget appropriation was $10,200. However, the difference of $1,446 could be drawn from the wastewater treatment plant equipment repair account, which is also provided for in the budget. Accordingly, I have 2 separate recommendations. The first being that the City Commission award the purchase of 3 sludge transport containers to Sioux Machine Works of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, for the total cost of $11,646, as that company was the low bidding company that met specifications. And the second recommendation being that the City Commission appropriate $1,446 from the wastewater treatment plant's equipment repair budget for this purchase.
Okay, thank you. There are 2 recommendations in discussion with the city attorney. Those are 2 separate motions. Commissioner Gary.
I so move that the City Commission award the purchase of 3 sludge transport containers from Sioux Machine Works of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, the cost of $11,646 being low bidder meeting specifications.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Boswith?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Commissioner Gary.
I make a motion that City Commission appropriate $1,446 from the wastewater treatment plant's equipment repair budget.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Boswith?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B under the city manager's report would provide for the approval of a contract with Otis Elevator Company for work to be performed on the City Hall historic elevator. As commissioners are aware, there is an appropriation in the amount of $40,000 that was included in the fiscal year 2015 budget for the recommissioning of the historic elevator at City Hall. Otis Elevator Company has submitted a quote in the amount of $30,801.81 to complete the work, portion of the work for the recommissioning of this elevator, to include new door locks, new stop switches, a new out-of-service key switch, and the fabrication to cover holes in the hoist cab, and the hoistway in the cab. And this is only a component of the work, with the balance of the work being coordinated by the Community Development Department and Engineering Technician Collins. At this time, if this is awarded to Otis, it anticipates being on site to complete this work, to begin the work actually in November. And City Attorney Canello has reviewed the terms and conditions of the quote, and the city and Otis have agreed upon the initial changes included within the packet. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission approve the quote submitted by Otis Elevator Company in the amount of $30,801.81 for the work outlined on their proposal.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lynn.
Your Honor, I would so move the City Commission approve the quote submitted by Otis Elevator Company in the amount of $30,801.81 for work related to the recommissioning of the historic elevator at City Hall.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. I think something worth noting is that in the information, a national representative from Otis made a recent visit to the City Hall to see the elevator and indicated that it is unusual to have an elevator of this period still functioning, but that this particular elevator is rare and an engineering marvel among the elevators of that era. So I think it's just really neat that we were able to save the elevator and put it back in service instead of just having an empty shaft there. So kudos to, I think, to the City Commission and certainly City Hall, city staff for preserving that while the demolition and the reconditioning of the building was going on. And it's going to be a nice piece going forward for a very long time. So, and we won't use it often, but once in a while, if we need to, it'll be there. So, any other comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosbus?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item C under the city manager's report provides for the approval of a proposal from Rogers Land Surveying to perform block corner preservation during the CSO Phase C3 project. And as outlined in the memorandum, during the phases of the CSO work, it's been the practice of the city to hire a professional land surveyor to locate block corners and reestablish corners that are disrupted during the construction process. Two proposals were solicited for this work from Rogers Land Surveying and Northwoods Land Surveying. Rogers Land Surveying was the apparent low bidder and submitted a quote in the amount of $13,250 for this work. Accordingly, I'm recommending that the City Commission approve the proposal from Rogers Land Surveying for block corner preservation work related to the CSO Phase C3 project in the amount of $13,250, and also authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Rogers Land Surveying.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bauer.
I actually have a question for the city engineer, please. Thanks. I just noticed when I was reading these over that the Northwoods proposal calls for 125 block corners to be preserved and reestablished with 12 street centerline control points. And then the Rogers calls for 90, let's scroll down here, 90 block corners with 18 mid-block corners. I mean, you know, why is there that discrepancy?
The proposals were obtained at different time periods, and the boundary of the project was still kind of moving. And Northwoods did theirs first, and then when we did Rogers, the boundary was changed. So
like we shrunk the project after the Northwoods bid came in? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we reduced the size, and the important thing is the per block, per corner preservation, as opposed to a lump sum. It's on a per block corner.
Okay, yeah, I did notice that per block it was cheaper, but I was just wondering why there was that discrepancy, because you're talking about like a full 30% more blocks in the Northwoods proposal than there was in the Rogers proposal.
They had a different boundary.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
Just one comment for clarity. The Northwoods proposal equated to $200 for the cost per corner, and the Rogers Land Surveying was $147 per corner.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion in, no, we don't have a motion yet. Commissioner Lynn.
So move the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any further questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosbus?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Item D, under the city manager's report, would provide authorization to extend the current agreement between the city and Legends Advertising for the Puller Community Building advertising. And I've actually requested that Assistant DPW Director and Parks and Recreation Director Dan Wires present on this topic.
Mayor and Commission, the Legends Advertising has been in the Polar for 10 years plus, and they've done a tremendous job, and they've done a very effective job in filling up the advertising on the dasher boards, the score clock signs, even the Zamboni, as well as in the ICE logos. And what this would do was extend their agreement, which would end in 2015, extend it for 2 more years. And over this time period, we've put it out to bid. We've had no interest. We had one hockey group look at putting in a bid in a few years back, but then pulled it out. So these folks have been doing it. They've done a wonderful job. I think it's surely in recommending the extension. I think is a great idea, and it certainly is something that they've worked with us on the city side as we're trying to renovate the Polar and putting some other advertisement into the Polar. They've been a good working partner for us. So I would certainly recommend it and take any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions of Dan Winters? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Bauer?
So moved that the City Commission extend Legends' option to renew the current agreement for a period of 2 additional operating seasons after June 30th, 2015, and provide Legends with the right to accept any future vendor's proposal to the city should the city propose to enter into a contract for the services described in the agreement from another vendor for the first 12 months after the expiration of the proposed extended agreement.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty,
Yes.
Mayor Bospas.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item E, under the city manager's report, would provide for the acceptance of a body armor grant from the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Justice program. As commissioners know, body armor generally is warrantied by manufacturers for a period of 5 years, after which time the material inside of the vest breaks down. The city applied for such a grant to fund the purchase of new body armor earlier this spring, and the city recently received notification that the police department has been awarded $2,984.52 for the purchase of new vests. In addition to the $50.81 that's remaining from last year's grant, the total amount available in grant funding is $3,035.33. Because this grant requires a 50% match, the city would contribute an equal amount for a total of $6,070.66. It's estimated that this level of available funding would provide for the purchase between 9 and 11 vests. Accordingly, I'm recommending that the City Commission authorize the acceptance of the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Justice Programs Body Armor Grant in the amount of $2,984.52 with the required 50% match, as well as the purchase of between 9 and 11 units of body armor through the established bidding process of the city.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Tuorty.
So move the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty,
Yes.
Mayor Bospas,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item F, under the city manager's report, would provide for the acceptance of a grant agreement with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation in the amount of $250,000 for the I-500 track soil instability project. And at this time, I've requested that Community Development Director Basista make a presentation regarding this matter.
You're up, Linda. You heard your name, but that's you, right?
Okay, good. As part of the, as you know, as you're aware, the soils were affected on the I-500 track, the hill where the press building is located last spring, due to heavy rains in the fall and then immediate freezing, early freezing, and then the soils were just really moving out there. They always have, but moved very slowly along on that slope. So the I-500 committee did a lot of work to get the hill stabilized for the 2014 I-500 race, but there's still work to be done. And as you know, they removed the press building. It was deemed unusable at the time, and it just wasn't worth trying to relocate it. And so when former city manager Nebel was here, and I think mayor and others were involved in asking for a grant from our legislators, and so the application came forward, it was applied for, and $250,000 is being received. The work that's being included is the remainder of the work on the slope itself. A little bit more grading needs to be done, and plantings that will help stabilize the soil further will occur. Some drainage ditches, hopefully at the top of the hill, to redirect the groundwater. It's not so much the surface water that is causing a problem, but it is the high groundwater table in that area, to relocate that. And then after the fact, we learned about the culvert situation down in the middle of the track, and it's being proposed to use the funds to correct the DEQ violations that had occurred there. And I think in order of priority, at least for the I-500 committee, I understand, the new press building is being considered, but they were holding off finding out how much money we would actually have.
Questions? Just Commissioner Lynn.
This doesn't cost the city anything. I think this is all that state grant. Is that correct?
This is the state grant.
Yes.
That we
Yes,
had,
and there's no local match, and the I-500 committee will direct the work, obtain the contracts and so forth, but then reimbursements will come through us.
And I think you, Mayor, you were the one that worked heavily on this, and I
Yes.
think it was Representative Frank Foster is the one that was the key person.
Representative Frank Foster, Senator Howard Walker were key in getting this for our area, along with a number of other senators and representatives, because it had to pass the state house.
Yep.
And then it'd be approved by the governor. So it was an appropriation in the middle of a time where Michigan didn't have a lot of money, but they, just a couple of comments. I think when you look at the state and tourism and things that bring people to areas, I-500 was certainly one of those key ingredients, and the legislature thought that was important enough to fund an appropriation of $250,000 at the time. And we had the race, the three rainfalls that were over 3 inches each, and then one was almost 5. Those events caused the movement of the earth a lot faster than it had been moving. As Linda said, it's always moved a little bit, but because you always had to reset the fence at the bottom of the track, and the I-500 committee and volunteers and others helped each year do that. Well, when the washout occurred, it washed out the track at the bottom. It kind of imploded the hillside, and then the I-500 had a number of volunteers with help from our engineering company that was hired by the city, right? So just to give you a little bit of history on where this all has gone. And right now, how's the hill stabilization? Has it moved much since last year?
Well, actually, we stopped monitoring it once the I-500 committee went out and did the grading last winter, because it disturbed all the monitoring points.
Okay.
So we've stopped monitoring.
Okay.
The conclusion at the time was, if we grade the hill to its natural slope of repose, do plantings, then the hill will be okay. And then remove water that causes the movement as well. So there was really no need to continue monitoring. Once they graded it, we didn't need
Okay,
to
so right now,
monitor it any
with the
longer.
rainfalls that we've had so far this summer, we haven't lost much of the soils?
No.
That's
No.
good. So, but then is there a plan to reduce the amount of water that comes over the top of the hill through other drainage areas?
Right.
on top?
A trench drain
Okay.
at the top of the hill, more like a French drain, a deep French drain that will divert the groundwater, actually, more groundwater than surface water.
And then I think the hope is, once the hill is stable, and we're going to do this one time so we don't have to do it again, so that once the hill is stabilized, then whatever money is remaining would be used to try and reconstruct with the help of the I-500 and a donation again of monies coming from the community and others to rebuild, they're going to try and rebuild the press box into something that they will last for a long time.
Yes, I believe they're proceeding at least with the design of a new press building.
Press center? Okay, good, okay. Any other questions or comments by the commission? And this action tonight is
This
doing what?
Just to formally accept the grant from the MEDC.
Okay, and do we have a time frame as far as when it has to be spent?
The agreement says January of 2015, however, I have talked to the representative from the MEDC, and he said it's no problem extending
Okay.
giving a time extension. I explained that we have permit issues with respect to wetlands and so forth, and he said, that's no problem, just don't ask for any more money.
Yeah, and we certainly thank them for the amount that we
Yes,
have.
we
And, so there may be at least one more I-500 without a press center, and they've made some contingency plans, I'm sure.
Yes, the last meeting we had with the I-500 committee, it was the belief that they would plan to run the race similar to the way they did it this last year, without a press building, and so they were making those arrangements.
And as I think, as we all know, not having a press center certainly created some problems for the I-500 committee, and certainly in a short amount of time. But we had, again, one of the larger crowds that we've had at the I-500. I think the year before was one of the larger crowds that we've ever had, and then last year was almost as many, upwards of, I think, 6,000 people. So it's this event, when you look at the impact that it creates in this area, and this is the 45th, I think, 46th race last year, so we're getting close to the 50th, and hopefully by the 50th, there's another press center sitting up there, because that's going to be a big deal. We had the governor here a couple years back, and that it continues to be a big event that drops millions of dollars during that weekend and week before into the area. So it's important that we continue to have those kind of events, and certainly, again, thank the commission and the community really thanks the I-500 committee for their, I mean, you can't believe the amount of time that these people put in to make this race happen one day, one time during the year, and it takes months and months and months of preparation, and it continues to happen as you don't see any snow, but they continue to work, and we really continue to thank those people for staying involved. Thank you, Linda. We have a motion, and no motion yet. Commissioner
So
Lynn.
move the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bospas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item G, under the city manager's report, would provide for the acceptance of a lease with New Singular Wireless, PCS LLC, also known as AT&T, for the construction of a 150-foot high monopole wireless communication tower adjacent to the water filtration plant. And as commissioners are aware, the administration and staff have been working with AT&T since early 2013 on planning for the construction of a 150-foot high monopole cell tower at the water filtration plant next to Sherman Park. The intent of AT&T in building this monopole cell tower is to improve reception on the west end of the city, and this would be a benefit to a number of citizens that have expressed this concern to me. The pole would provide for 2 other tenants to use it, which could further increase cell phone coverage in the area. AT&T is currently prepared to move forward with its site plan application. However, it's recommended that first the city approve this lease. AT&T has requested that the city be the first party to sign this lease, and City Attorney Cannella has recommended that the city require AT&T to sign it within 90 days of commission action on this. In total, the life term of this lease could be 25 years, which is broken up into 5 separate terms of 5 years. It starts at a $1,200 per month rental rate, and at the ending of each 5-year term, this would increase by 10%. So for example, after the first 5-year term, it would increase to $1,320. Over the life of the 25-year term, a total of $439,000, $567.20 could be collected through this lease agreement. Accordingly, I'm recommending that the City Commission approve the lease as proposed with the condition that AT&T return a signed copy of it within 90 days to the city.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Shimmons.
I move the City Commission approve the lease as proposed with the condition that AT&T return a signed copy of the lease within 90 days of that company receiving the lease as signed by the city.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Commissioner Torney.
Yeah, thank you. Just a question about the lease amount. A lot of times in telecommunications leases, when they bring on other parties, the lease amount goes up. Was that considered at all?
Yes, it was.
And?
It was refused.
Simply stated?
I guess a question, does that mean that additional two tenants wouldn't pay the city any lease then?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay. Why did we say no? Or is it them?
Not our tower.
Not our tower, eh? Oh, yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, does
I
your
was
mic?
told not to turn on the mic.
Oh, you can use that mic. If we have a lot of questions of the city attorney, we'll have him use the additional mic that's there, but,
Now, AT&T is making the capital improvement, so therefore it's their tower. And they're leasing a patch of ground from us. And if
Right.
we were building the tower and inviting them to mount their equipment on it, then we would have the rights to mount additional equipment as we saw fit, providing that the FCC regulations were followed. I did make that request, and along with a number of other requests I made, it was denied.
any other questions? Commissioner Shimmons.
When is it going to be up?
What's the city manager?
Following this lease agreement, after they sign it and return it, I would expect that they'll submit the site plan, and then after they submit the site plan and it's approved by the Planning Commission, I would imagine it would be, Kelly, if you have any insights into this.
I think they're allowed 2 years to construct it.
Oh, my goodness.
I believe their hope is to get it up yet this year, but the weather's going to really dictate what happens.
Okay.
That's understandable.
You know, but people probably on the west side of town are waiting for a cell tower so that their phones,
No service.
no service without the tower, so as soon as possible, hopefully. Any other comments? We have a motion to support?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Torney?
Yes.
Mayor Bostos?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you.
Item H under the city manager's report pertains to the initiatory resolution for the making of drainage improvements in the Lakeshore subdivision area by special assessment. As commissioners are aware, the city has received numerous concerns within recent years from residents of the Lakeshore subdivision regarding standing water and ditches. This has come from a number of issues that have compounded this problem, such as failed or undersized driveway culverts, ditches being purposely filled in, natural vegetation, and high groundwater. As commissioners are also aware, AECom completed a study in June of 2013 that detailed improvements that could be made within the subdivision to ameliorate some of these drainage problems, and identified the higher priority improvements totaled just over $260,000, and that all improvements that could be made within the subdivision to alleviate some of these drainage problems would total $373,000. As a result of the cost of these recommended improvements by the study, as well as the direct benefit to property owners that would be obtained through the making of these improvements, it was recommended during the fiscal year 2015 budget process that a special assessment be created to provide for the making of these improvements. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission adopt the initiatory resolution for public improvements that has been presented to it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Shimmons, we'll come back to you since you're in that area and have really talked a lot about the drainage problems there.
Do you want a motion?
Sure.
I move that the City Commission adopt the initiatory resolution for public improvement included herein.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item I, under the City Manager's Report, would provide authorization for the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Sioux Tribe to reconstruct city streets, including Shawano, Bawading, and Oshawan Street, and the adjoining cul-de-sacs to those streets. As outlined in the memorandum, the city has been approached by the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians in regards to the improvement of these streets and adjoining cul-de-sacs. Specifically, the improvements would include widening the streets to the 30-foot minimum that's been adopted by the City Commission, and providing curb and gutter, sidewalks on one side, and additional drainage improvements. Especially important to note is that this project is fully paid for with BIA Sioux Tribe funds and will not cost the city any funds to complete these improvements. In the past, the city has granted the tribe temporary access to the specified right-of-ways for the duration of these types of projects, and typically a 2-year permit has been issued. It's recommended that the City Commission first authorize the city manager to execute a temporary construction permit to allow the Sioux Tribe and BIA to proceed with the improvements to city streets, including Shawano, Bawading, and Oshawan Street, and the adjoining cul-de-sacs, and additionally recommended that the City Commission appropriate $1.5 million for the completion of this work, with 100% of the funding coming from the Sioux Tribe as a local contribution.
Okay, thank you. There are 2 recommendations in discussion with the city attorney. That's one motion. Commissioner Tuarty?
So move the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Commissioner Tuarty?
Thank you. Just a comment. Yay, these roads need to be redone, so good for the tribe.
Well, they have open ditches now, and they'll be sewer below ground, so they'll all have curb and gutter, and that's certainly will make those, and with sidewalks, I believe, and really make that site very nice. We have motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Item J, under the City Manager's Report, would provide for the renewal of the MDOT contract for trunk line maintenance and snow removal. This is a 5-year contract that would replace the existing contract. It provides for the upkeep and maintenance of the state's roadways within the city limits, and also provides for the removal of snow and the reimbursement of cost associated with those activities. As commissioners are likely aware, the state trunk lines include the I-75 Business Spur and Ashman Street from I-75 to Portage Avenue. Includes Portage Avenue and Riverside Drive from Ashman to the Sugar Island Ferry Dock, and M129 from 3 Mile Road to the I-75 Business Spur. MDOT will provide summer maintenance and winter snow removal budgets, as has been the case for many years, and the city charges MDOT for this work. Within the past 3 years, the amount that has been received through this contract ranges between $100,000 and $205,000. Accordingly, I recommend that the City Commission approve the included 5-year contract with MDOT for the maintenance performed by the City of Sault Ste. Marie on state trunk lines.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bauer?
So move the commission approve the included 5-year contract with MDOT for the maintenance performed by the city of Sault Ste. Marie on state trunk lines.
Sports.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Vasquez?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Under status report, item A, the Puller Community Building Renovation Project, fundraising update. At this time, to my knowledge, there is $273,996.31 in total that has been raised in cash or pledges. Again, that's $273,996.31, and of that total, 121 and 413 is in cash, and 152,583.31 has been pledged.
More great news, Commissioner Lynn.
I think you have even an update from the 243.
Yeah, we were
or
given
yeah.
a pledge for $500 tonight, so we're just shy of $275,000. You know, we were looking at $250 as a goal, knowing that we would need more to complete the second phase, and certainly we have monies going forward for the second phase. If my memory serves me correctly, I think we're at about $1.4 million total, even with some additional small change orders that might occur. We should still have somewhere around $100,000 because we had set aside $1.5 million with the $250 that we were able to raise. So we should have $100,000, and then with the so far almost $25,000 addition going in, we're looking at $125 going toward the second phase, and we're still, you know, the committee is still fundraising. The burger bashes, the other things are happening. We're talking with individuals that are pledging but haven't signed on the dotted line yet. So we're hoping, you know, 300,000 isn't far away, and we keep moving. We keep moving the goal. The Puller has certainly been supported by a lot of people in the community and a lot of people that have gone through the Puller. And we're going to have a rededication probably sometime this winter. You know, Commissioner Lynn has mentioned the Sioux Amateur Hockey as a group as having a game, and that's certainly doable. We would hope to have some other folks involved in attendance that hopefully played in the rink, and we're working on that with Linda Hoth and the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And as we get closer, we'll have some dates once we can firm up some entities that we hope will be here, but it's going to be sometime this winter that we'll do a rededication and make it a pretty gala event, hopefully. But we certainly like to again thank everyone for their pledges and their support. And again, the Burger Bash is Thursday, October the 2nd, from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 7 o'clock at the Elks Club. That's a Thursday night. Again, October the 2nd. 4 to 7, and tickets will be available. We just had them printed. I know they're in Bobby Kalia's hands because he's the chairman of the group, and we're trying to get those out. If I'd had some tickets tonight, I would have been passing them out here to fellow commissioners, and but we'll get them out to you, and we certainly appreciate the support. City Manager?
That concludes the status report section. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6 is matters presented by the public. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to make a comment at this time? Hearing none, we'll go to item number 7, matters presented by the City Commission. Commissioner Bauer.
Yeah, I just want to, if you don't mind me saying this for about 30 seconds, this past Thursday, 9/11, there was a member of the Coast Guard, Morgan Gambino, who is a Mug Club member at the brewery, and he chose that date and my establishment to re-up his commitment to the United States Coast Guard. And the fact that he did it there and on that date was, and I had no idea that it was coming until it happened, but it was very humbling. It made me very proud of what we do here in Sault Ste. Marie.
Excellent. That's, you know, and as you say, the 9/11 is also my daughter's birthday, so. Tough to talk about, but we'll always remember. Anyone else?
Mayor, just as a brief reminder to the commission,
Sure.
the new website for the city is going live this Friday. Will be publicly accessible at that time.
Website. Anyone have any questions? And that's siouxcity.com?
Right,
Okay. And it'll be a new website this Friday?
that's correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
And certainly thanks goes out to Bonnie.
Yeah, our IT director has done a wonderful job, put in a lot of hours on it. He's done a terrific job.
Great. Commissioner Lynn.
Your Honor, I would so move that we adjourn this meeting.
Support.
Then move supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.
He's got a deadline to meet.
No lollygagging. It's pretty cool. I like Morgan and Seth.